Welcome back, everybody. Now, Oupa Sibeko is an interdisciplinary artist whose work moves between theatrical, gallery, scholarly and other public contexts, overtly dealing with matters and politics of the body as a site of contested works. His new body of work is currently installed at the NWU Gallery under the title Quality, Inequality. Oupa joins us now in studio to tell us more about this project that is on show until the 31st of May. Oupa, very good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, just give us a brief background into Ingress is all about and what really inspired you to go for this.
Well, I was inspired by the process of COVID, where we had to find ourselves sitting at home. Sitting at home was saving lives. So this quality inequality came through there that, it exposed the inequality in society even more. For those who didn't have, they were kind of sitting, waiting for hope, so waiting for something to happen. So it came through that. The whole kind of like, I was inspired by fishing as well, to be like, how do we sit and wait? How do we sit with hope? How do we sit waiting for something to happen? So that's where the inspiration came from.
Okay, and I quite like the title, Quality, Inequality. And what was the significance of the name Ingress then? And how does this project cast into the spotlight some of the issues we've just articulated?
Well, the thing is that I don't have the language for it. You don't have the language for it. But I think we all need to come together, create spaces for dialogue.
Indeed.
And for me, that's what the exhibition is all about, is how do we come together to find a language where lines can intersect, where other colors, we can acknowledge different colors. Because I also think quite one of the things that's affecting us is that we're looking at black and white, but there's also other colors. There's blue, there's green, there's purple, there's red. So how do we become kids? How do we teach adults to acknowledge and to access other colors? Yeah.
And having said that, Oupa, South Africa is one of the most unequal societies in the world, and the subject of equality and inequality is a very, very thorny issue for South Africa in particular. So what are some of the issues or what are some of the conversations that you are hoping this project will spark?
Well, for me, the one conversation that I hope will start is we all need to be held accountable. We need to be held accountable in terms of our inequality, how we exercise it, and basically how do we find ways to come together. And for me, that's one thing that I wish people that did walk into this exhibition and walk out of there with play, is to say, how can we teach adults to play? How can we make spaces that are accessible, spaces that are safe, and we can have dialogue? Because it's important to have dialogue, because then we debate, we cry, we laugh, and then we find each other, we support each other. And that's one thing that I hope this exhibition brings to the fore, is how do we support each other? How do we hold each other accountable?
Indeed, indeed. And the Triplebill features road, fight, flight, feathers and effers and despot. Now, just unpack this production for us.
Well, those are productions for moving into dance. They're not necessarily my projects, but I've seen Road and I'd advise people to go see Road, which explores kind of like this relationship between two guys who find each other, moments of tension, moments of support. And then Feathers also explores the whole idea of how do we fly? Do we fly? Is it a flight, or do we face this thing? Do we come together to face it and not necessarily take flight? And then I think the new one is by Lesego, which is a new production. But I wouldn't speak much on them but I've seen some of the works,
Okay.
Yeah. But they're not necessarily my works.
They're not your work. Oh, okay. All right. So just give us details about this exhibition, about this production.
Cool. So the production, the exhibition, it's a mixed media. So it includes charcoal drawing, crayons, coloring. It also includes hand stitching. So basically, how do we find lines? What are we sewing? How do we put things together? So the exhibition, people can check it out on the NWU Gallery, their website. They can check it up on their social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, under the Northwest University Gallery. That's where the exhibition can be accessed there.
Just tell us a bit more about yourself, Oupa, where your artistic journey started, and what was your intention by embarking on this journey?
Well, I'd say I was born, bred, buttered, toasted, sandwiched in Joburg, and what that does is that it opens you up, it molds you to be able to adapt. And so, for me, what art has done, it's given me healing, to be able to access different spaces, to travel to different worlds, but then also as a language of of engaging, that we can engage in politics, we can engage in race, we can engage in sex using art, you know. So for me, that's my journey coming into art. But predominantly I work with play, because no one can teach you how to play. Our parents cannot teach us how to play. And perhaps that's what we need to learn. We need to learn how to play as a way of engaging about what affects us. Because often than not is that the topic is serious. And then as such, then it takes away the language. But for me, I prefer play. I prefer coloring. I prefer drawing, because what that does is not only does it become art, but it's something that's born out of the body.
Yeah.
And so it becomes therapeutic as well.
You know, I quite like the fact that you repeatedly use the word language. And you know that, I mean, what's the language that is employed or implemented in this particular project? I mean, there's different forms of languages. It could be silent language, because silence on its own is a language on its own.
No, for me, exactly, that's why I titled the exhibition Quality Inequalities, to kind of to basically put people on the line, to put people on the fence, to say, where do we fall? Is this quality? And if it's not quality, then you're dismissing it. And so that also kind of like puts you in a predicament. So for me, the most important thing, and I'll keep on going back into the metaphor of fishing, is that we need to sit in silence and just wait. And for me, it's that symbol of the sunflower, that it's not all just gloom and dark. There is hope. But how do we listen to this hope? And that's what COVID did, is kind of like it pressed that button for pause, for all of us to actually sit and listen. And perhaps that's what's happening, is that there's too much white noise, there's too much black noise, there's too much gray noise, but we haven't accessed silence. And so this project is kind of like bringing things closer to say, let the colors meet, let the puzzle come in. I mean, it's that process of playing, of sitting down, to kind of access ourselves, to say, how do we deal with ourselves before we can deal with the other? And for me, that's the most important thing, is to say, we need to access oneself before we can open the other one.
You know, Oupa, I quite like your analogy, that fish analogy, because, you know, the fact that you know that something is there, you just have to go out there, throw the fishing rod, and then wait. I mean, we know that gold is everywhere, and it could be right under our feet, but not everybody is trained to find that gold, unfortunately.
But then also, it's also the kind of like the rush that we always find ourselves in, that we're always chasing. And that's why I'm saying that we're concerned with having rather than with being. And so we need to be present.
All right. All the best, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That was an interdisciplinary artist, Oupa Sibeko, and we've been, speaking to him about his current exhibition at NWU Gallery titled Quality Inequality.